Hello and welcome to Versus Live. I'm Ross Marriott.
And I'm Corey Baumeister.
And we've got Rob in the booth. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Rob will be taking all of your questions, comments, concerns, and burns in the chat. Make sure to tag at Star City Games so he can see them and send his favorites over to us. Today, we are playing a format that we haven't seen on Versus Live for a little bit.
It's been a
minute.
minute.
That's a shame.
It is a shame. It is a shame. It's the best.
Modern really is great right now. I think it's been great for a long time, but it's particularly good now. A lot of different decks, a lot of just interesting gameplay between the decks. That long mantra about Modern being this format with a bunch of ships passing in the night is long gone.
The degeneracy of just always having you're dead by turn 3 or that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, that part is over. We almost always evaluate the end of our Versus Live of Modern, just be like, wow, we just played like 12 insane games, you know? I mean, like, most of the time they're very close, very interactive, and yeah, my favorite format still for sure, yeah.
So we are going to be bringing Modern to you all week this week on Versus Live. Today we are going to focus...
What a good week.
Oh, yeah. Today we're going to focus on decks that are at the top of the format. These are decks that both Corey and I think are very strong contenders for any upcoming Modern tournament that you might be playing.
Yep.
Really that, you know, tier 1, tier 1.5, whatever number you want.
Yeah, they're
tier
good.
17.
How about that?
Yeah, 17 we're good. And tier 34, they're in a tier somewhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, just really good decks we would not be surprised to see multiple copies in the top 8 or take home trophies. And then Thursday we're going to explore the wide world of Modern and bring you some fun fringe decks, which means Corey will probably play 3 Orion decks, one of which will have Healy combo.
If you're a cat fan, if you're an Infinite Cat fan, you best believe you better tune in on Thursday, because I don't know, that should be in the tier 1 show, but I'm deferring and putting it in the tier 2 for now.
If you want to get it in the tier 1 show, then you're the one who's going to have to do it, Corey.
I know, but it's so hard to get it there because you can't top 8 events on Magic Online with it too easily. It's too many clicks.
Just going to have to really put in the reps.
I know.
Become a click master.
I try, but it is good. It is really good.
We need like a Rocky montage of Corey sitting in his computer furiously clicking his mouse.
And then at the end, just running up my staircase. Yeah.
Okay.
But if we had a Modern Open to go to for the SCG Tour in paper, I think I could do well with it. I gave up on it because it's just, you know, it's hard to make work online, but I do think it is pretty good. So,
well, you'll probably get that in a year or so?
Yeah,
2
maybe.
years? 12 years?
Maybe. Time's an illusion, remember?
Okay, we are going to start with a matchup between Sharkblade on my side. This is Azoria Sharkblade, a deck brought to us really by Aspiring Spike initially. You know, these sort of Stoneblade decks have been around for a little while, but Shark Typhoon gives them a really powerful threat that allows them to play at instant speed.
Yep.
And that's so important for these decks. They're really reactive control decks. They're playing Mystic Sanctuary. They're playing counter spells. They want to be holding a mana on their turn. But when you're playing Stoneforge Mystic, the Mystic itself is a really nice cheap threat that you can cast early and get ahead of your opponent and then hold up counter spells from there. But you need some extra creatures to hold these equipment, or at least you want to be playing some. And usually you saw things like, you know, Vendilion Click, Brazen Borrower, things in that ilk. But they just aren't what they used to be.
Yeah. And they fall into the trap of being vulnerable to Mystical Dispute, which, you know, people bring in against this deck already, so that is not a good way that I'd want to build my deck either.
But Shark Typhoon does, you know, most of what those cards do. It's an instant speed threat. It gains a little bit of value. You know, Brazen Borrower can get you some tempo. Vendilion Click gives you a little disruption. This just gives you some card advantage. Yeah, all good things. And
it scales so well.
Yes, the fact that it scales so well in the late game, it can answer big creatures, you know, later on. You know, when you cycle it, make a 5/5 or 6/6, you can kill Tarmogoyf. So in the late game, it gets, you know, kind of hard to attack sometimes, but it still just carries a sword, even if it's a 1/1 on turn 3. So really, really smart addition, I think, to this deck. It really shows us the power of Shark Typhoon now fitting in yet another deck in an older format.
If sharks flying around a tornado were not scary enough, now we're giving them swords? Like, geez, 2020 is just a wild world, huh?
I think the other sharks in the tornado have to be kind of scared, too. Hopefully they all have swords, so they're kind of dueling in the tornado.
I think the shark itself holding the sword would have to be scared as well if you're in a tornado. That's all just madness.
Yeah, you got to hold on to that sword real tight.
Yeah. So what I'm going to be playing, Temur Reclamation, everybody's most hated deck in Standard, but it's a lot more fun in Modern because of one of my favorite cards, and that's Factor Fiction. This deck was originally brought to us by Canister, Piotr Glukowski. I played it in a couple events to pretty decent success. I did pretty well with it. I think the deck's really powerful. Another Mystic Sanctuary deck, but we get to play Uro. You have that one of Nexus, or really not the Reclamation Nexus plan, because we only have a couple Wilderness Reclamation as well. It's really Temur control that just utilizes Factor Fiction, both sides of it, if you can consider that a split card, is the fact that the cards go to the graveyard. They're incentivizing your Mystic Sanctuaries and your Uros. So if you ever get Uro, it's like you almost don't want to take the pile it's in. So it really makes Factor Fiction just absolutely insane in this deck, and it's just a really strong deck that it's probably my favorite to play in Modern right now.
There's a lot of different Uro Mystic Sanctuary decks in Modern right now, and this is the one that I think is probably favored in those mirrors, because you have this really robust end game, and the games are always going to go really long. But you're a little bit less interactive against some of the other decks in the format, where, whether it be Prowess or combo decks, something like that, big mana decks. So I think that's where your trade-off is. But the Uro decks are really popular right now, and they're doing really well. So that is a trade-off that makes sense to me. And it's not like you're, because you're not a dedicated Reclamation deck, and you're not playing 4 of them. It's only 2 copies. 1 Nexus. So it really is just that end game plan. It's not something you're trying to implement from turn 3, turn 4. You're not sacrificing a ton in terms of disruption. These are small edges that are being pushed around. You can make it up in sideboarding as well.
And I think the point where I agree with you the most is in these Uro mirror matches, the thing that gives this deck the biggest edge is Field of the Dead. It's that robust end game that you just eventually gets there. Luckily, we just saw it banned from one format. We only got one format left for it to go, and then it's just gone. So
I like Field of the Dead in Modern because
it's not bad.
Yeah, because Field of Modern, you don't have games going like that long, that consistently, because you have the check on the format from the non-interactive decks or from the fast decks. So you can't build a dedicated field deck and just say, I'm going to beat every fair deck.
Yeah, they have to be like splashed 1 or 2 of, and it's just an actual kind of randomness, which doesn't make it overpowered. I agree with you.
Or it's a Tool and Primeval Titan decks to compete against more interactive decks. It's a role player in Modern, and it's a powerful one at that. And that makes it, I think, healthy in the metagame, as opposed to it's Field of the Dead decks that are unhealthy, not Field of the Dead the card.
Whenever you're just trying to kill with only the land, that's bad. But when it is just an extra utility, then the deck building becomes pretty interesting. Like what kind of lands do you play when, we're still playing a bunch of breeding pools here because we're a base blue-green deck.
How far do you go?
Exactly. How far do you go? And I don't know. I really like the deck. I've had some decent problems against matchups that are hyper-aggressive, but overall, very powerful decks.
This matchup, not going to be hyper-aggressive, but I've got some good tools. I can press you with Sharks and Stoneforges. That's going to be important. I think I'm not favored going long, so I want to be the aggressor, and I also have good removal for Uro. I have 4 paths, so some cool dynamics here.
How dare you?
Good match.
All right, well, let's do it. Looks like I had my I had the wins last week, so it'll be you going first this time.
Got to get back to my winning ways here.
Yeah, no thank you.
What if instead?
Oh, man. Just seeing sack lands again. Man, I miss Modern. I didn't get to play
I actually hate fetch lands, but I like Modern. Yeah. Especially when we're not playing online, I actually have to shuffle my deck.
Oh, wow. Boo is Ross.
I don't have a great hand here.
Okay.
I have the Batterskull and not the Stoneforge Mystic. That is not the right half of the combo.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, I just don't think this hand is going to apply really any pressure. I just have turn 2 Cycle Shark Typhoon so I can try to hit a 3rd land, and maybe make a 1/1 Shark with the 2nd Typhoon.
Wow. Sounds powerful. Yeah, and that is the one I'm definitely going to keep. My hand is, nothing special, but does what I want to be doing on the early turns with this deck. That is the nice thing about Shark Typhoon, but it also just isn't a great card to be playing early, and in a format that is very, very quick, Shark Typhoon is kind of rough. So we're even seeing it in Standard a little bit, where Shark Typhoons are not really staples in blue decks, which shows to me that it maybe the format's a little too fast or a little bit too swingy. Now, we did see last weekend the event taken down by Alexander, or I guess the weekend before now, where he played 4 sharks, but played a flash style because he was interacting on every single turn. But you can't really expect to not be interacting consistently and play sharks. That's the trade-off you have to do. You got to make sure you build your deck to make sharks as good as possible. Yeah, and that deck does it.
Yeah, you want to be playing with instant speed interaction.
Yeah.
Shark Typhoon doesn't really make a lot of sense in just a tap-out deck.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Sultai Ramp wasn't playing a ton of them, but maybe that was a bad example to bring up. But
okay, this hand is perfectly fine.
Okay.
I'm not sure which card I want to put back. I think...
Probably Batterskull.
That one's not in here. I think I'm going to put that one back. That's the one I'd rather just draw later in the game.
All right, bring it on.
I have an island.
Lucky. All right, here go.
And a turn opt.
Wow.
I want to make land drops. So
okay. Yeah, this is going to be a lot about making sure we each get to 4 or 5 lands, step 1. So I'm going to take 1. Here's my favorite land to search up on turn 1 with this deck. Can you guess it?
Sheltered Thicket.
It's Blast Zone. No, I'm just kidding.
Ketria Triome?
Yes, a little better than Sheltered Thicket. I love being able to just be like, you don't really have to think about what land to get to start. Just always get this one up, if you're not casting anything.
And another, Triomes have made their way into Modern as well, and they're often just a one-of in these decks.
Yep, because they are clunky. 3 mana cycling is still pretty rough.
But it is, as Corey said, a great card to fetch 4 on turn 1.
I'll pass to you.
I will opt in here instead.
Bring it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Just getting everything you want. I see how it's going to be.
I'll play a Flooded Strain and pass.
All right, Growth Spiral. Opt +1. All right. Draw, and we'll put... it doesn't matter. Okay, we'll go like that. Untap. Let's see. What do we want to cast now? I think just nothing. Yeah, I'll pass to you.
Okay. I'm going to crack these fetches.
Okay.
So...
Oh, great. Yeah, fetch land. So if I already got life totals wrong on Versus, it gets even worse with Modern. Love it.
Oh, my list doesn't have the Prairie Stream. Guess we'll get a Hallowed Fountain Island. So I'm going to go to 16.
16, yep.
And I will play a Snapcaster pitch.
Snapcaster? Let's see. Am I supposed to care about that? I don't super care, but this isn't the best card in the matchup anyway, so I'm going to remand it.
That's fine.
Okay, do your thing.
Okay, unopt.
Okay. You were set on opting no matter what, huh?
Oh, yes. Bottom that one.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a neat draw.
All right. Do you want an opt?
Sure.
Why not?
Let's do this correctly.
Okay.
I will play a Stoneforge Mystic.
Stoneforge Mystic.
Gotta do this first.
Makes sense. Yeah, that resolves.
Now, there's a few options. I kind of think sort of Feast and Famine might be better than Batterskull here.
Okay.
Just getting that mana advantage, starting to whittle down Corey's resources.
That makes sense to me.
A little bit less pressure, but I've got the Snapcaster too in my hand. So, yeah, I'm going to get Sword.
Okay.
And play Mystic Sanctuary. Actually, I'm now rethinking if I want this opt.
Yep. Really good late game, but if you kind of don't really care what you draw, maybe it just doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to get an opt.
Okay.
Pass.
End step, I'm going to bolt that. And crack this. Go to 18. We want to make sure we get a diversified land here. Breeding pool is something we don't have yet, so that seems like a pretty easy one. All right. Untap. Okay, now we're going to play land and start with everyone's favorite Titan of Wrath.
Yep.
Okay, I'll go to 21. Draw, play a land, and yeah, here you go.
You have 4 in hand?
4, yep.
I'll play Misty Rainforest.
Okay.
And pass the turn.
Untap. Draw. Now, what do I want to do? Decent amount of options here. Let's start by cracking this. Go to 20. Let's get... I think we can... I do want a blue source. I think we can actually just get island.
Mana base seems pretty well set up at this point.
Yep. And I want to try to not crack fetch lands as much as I can, just in case I draw field. So now let's go with... So I kind of want to keep Bolt and Remand in my yard. So I think I want to crack one more fetch. So I'm going to go to 19.
Yep.
And I'm going to try to Uro here, I think. Good thing is, yeah, if you have the path, it's gone for good. But if you just keep countering it, eventually Uro kind of wears you down. All right. So yeah, let's start with Uro. Exile these 5.
I will respond to Uro with the Snapcaster Mage.
Snappy Caster. Okay.
Target opt.
Sure.
Bottom that.
Okay.
Uro resolves.
All right. So now I have a choice if I want to trigger on the stack. I could go get Mystic Sanctuary, put one of these cards on top, which seems decent. That's a close one. I'll just draw.
You go to 22.
Yep. 22, and then I'll put this land into play, and I'll pass to you. Oh, I just forget in Modern how fast you can bring Uro back from the graveyard with fetch lands. It's just absurd.
It's not okay.
It's just not okay. All right, so I know only sword in your hand, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And I will play it.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
Okay. Untap. Draw. That was a spicy one. El Caliente, some would say. Declare attacks. Attack. Trigger.
You get a 25.
I will. Do I want to put in a land? I think this would be fine. Mystic Sanctuary. I'm going to put... Remand on top. And... Modern's so hard. There's always so many decisions to make. Then, yeah, take 6. Should have 10.
10.
And I think I want to play this. Wilderness Reclamation.
Four cards in hand?
Yep. You know none of them.
I'm already at an absurd mana disadvantage. So
Yeah.
I don't think I can afford to fight over this. I think I need to fight over individually impactful spells.
Okay.
So that resolves.
Okay, I am going to... All right, I'm going to cast an arrow.
Sure. You're 28.
28. End step trigger.
Yep.
I will crack these. Go to 26. Now we got 7, so it doesn't really matter what we get. I'll take 2. And I think a mountain is fine here, so I'll go to 24.
Yep.
Float blue-red. Untap. And... red floating, grow spiral.
Sure.
Take 2.
22.
22 to 10. Red, blue. Blue again. Factor Fiction.
You have 2 in hand?
I have 2, yep.
One of which is Remand.
Yep.
Okay, I'll force the Factor Fiction, pitch a Shark Typhoon.
I'll remand Factor Fiction.
Spell Scenario Remand.
Okay. It's pretty strong, and you got 2 cards.
2 cards.
Okay. All right, so Spell Snare resolves. I think I have to let this resolve too, unfortunately, and just kind of do this. So, yep, this resolves.
Okay, so Fop is exiled.
Yep, and then still at end step, Snapcaster.
Yep.
And then I'll bolt this. Okay, here we go. That was one heck of a turn. But yeah, you dealt with my stuff pretty handily there. Maybe there was some thought to waiting on Fact or Fiction until your end step, so you actually have to pay mana for it. Because getting that Fact or Fiction exiled there is pretty brutal. Leaving it in the graveyard for more Mystic Sanctuaries. And Rob, I'm playing 2 Sanctuaries in this list, right? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, pass the turn.
Okay. Untap, upkeep, draw. That's a medium draw. Declare attacks?
Yep.
Trigger. I will put this land into play.
So you're 25.
Yep.
That will probably end it. I'm going to crack this fetch.
Go to 9, okay.
And get... Don't think any sort of Mystic Sanctuary helps me here, but I'll get Island and cycle Shark Typhoon for 3.
In response, Nexus. It wasn't a medium draw. It was a good one. All right.
Fell behind on mana there. While that interaction I had was good on that one turn, it was not good earlier, which is what let you get a huge lead.
Yeah.
So I needed you to brick on that turn, and you did not.
Yeah, honestly, and that's what it usually comes down to with these type of decks and their dynamic. Like, I think back to, like, Blue-White Control versus Temur Reclamations in Standard, like when we played that Team GP, you know? And it just always came down to you don't want to counter early, just ramp. Because, you know, I mean, it's not doing much. You want to save it for their impactful spells. I have less impactful spells and you have more counter spells, so you would think they just line up well. But when I just keep ramping, all of a sudden, then I get to double spell and sneak stuff through you, you know? And, like, that's the dynamic that I lean on, is just ramp until I can just go, okay, end step Fact or Fiction with 3-man backup, untap Wilderness Wreck, you know, and just kind of go nuts, wait for those big turns. But, you know, if you start getting your sword going fast, I don't have that luxury, you know. So we're gonna head to the sideboard here, figure out what kind of tools we have for this our first match in Modern, which is a very complex matchup, that's for sure, between Temur Reclamation and Azorius Stoneblade. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Versus Live, where we are sideboarding in our matchup between Azorius Sharkblade and Temur Reclamation. Not a lot going on either side here, just some minor changes. I've got, you know, cheap counterspell and Disdainful Stroke, and another cheap threat in Vendilion Click. I know I said at the beginning of the show that, you know, this card isn't what it used to be, but it is still good in certain matchups that don't interact with it very well. Here, vulnerable to Red and 6, and that is one of the reasons that Brazen Borrow and Vendilion Click have gotten worse.
True.
But that's really the only card you're afraid of, and outside of that, it's excellent in this matchup. The information is so valuable.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm still going to want it here. I'm cutting one of the pieces of equipment. We don't need 3 in this matchup, and Sword of Feast and Famine is certainly much better than Sword of Fire and Ice, because it lets you attack through Uro and zombie tokens.
Oh, yep.
So that one's excellent here. I'm actually trimming up Path. I know you need Path for Uro, but that's all you need it for.
Yeah.
So it's a very narrow tool. It's not something I want to flood on. Yeah, it would have been nice to have 1 in game 1, but it's nice to have exactly 1. You have Mystic Sanctuary and Snapcaster Mage to have multiple copies.
Yeah, if you draw 2 of those in your opening hand or something, you feel really far behind because you're not doing much with them for a while. But,
so perfectly happy to trim 1 copy here.
Cool. From my end, I was really, it was very easy what to bring in. You know, that's really the only playable cards there, and all 3 of them are excellent. But I did struggle with what to take out, just because normally in these type of control matchups where you want these, Lightning Bolt's a bad card, you know. But with Stoneforge Mystic, that changes the script, and that's another card. Like, I don't want to draw many of them main, but you need them for your creatures, because that game could have been much different if you got to strap that sword, you know, to Snapcaster pretty early. So I'm taking out Remand. Veil is that, you know, counter draw effect already, but it's just much better. And you saw me trying to Remand to bounce my own spells anyways. If I had Veil there, you know, not only did it get around Spell Snare, but it also would have just resolved. So it would have been much better in that regard. And then Cryptic Command is just the most expensive one, so I don't want to flood on a bunch of 4s. But honestly, I could see like maybe Ren and 6 being trimmed. I could see more remands. I could see Snapcaster being taken out. I'm not a billion % on that these are correct to take out, but these do get to be clunky, and on the play they're a lot better because you have Stoneforge Mystic that you're going to cast after I play my second land. Otherwise, you kind of just get to jam it in on turn 2 when I don't have a good way to deal with it outside of Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
So we're going to give this a shot.
Sad days for cutting Remand and Blue Mirrors.
I know. What have I become? But honestly, like I said, it could be wrong. It really could. So there's just all my cards are so good. I just don't know.
Your reasoning makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a very 2015 play where you had my own spell in response to your counter spell.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites, though.
Yeah, you're a blue mage at heart. All right, Rob, you got any sweet questions for us?
Yeah, first question Baby Dino had earlier. You had mentioned that, Modern is no longer just 2 ships passing in the night, but what do you think about a combo deck like Devoted Devastation right now? Does that still have the strength to play in the format?
And here's the thing. Here's the thing I love about Modern. The answer to, all those questions are yes. If that's your style of deck, tune it for the metagame and stuff. And yeah, it's playable. It's good. I've lost to it a decent amount. It's really tricky when I go to kill their thing, because most of the time I play decks like this or Bant control and stuff. And it's really tricky to, counter a spell and then they just have that 1 mana return target spell and then just combo off on you. So that's a matchup that I've actually lost to a decent amount, and I think it's still a very fine deck.
I think that deck is fine, not great. I worry about that deck against things like Prowess, which are really popular. Yeah. Anytime I'm playing mana creatures against Lava Dart, I don't feel great.
Yeah.
If you're looking at combo decks, though, the deck I actually like, I haven't played it myself, this is just an inclination, is Ad Nauseam. I think that deck got a lot better with the addition of Thassa's Oracle, because it now doesn't actually need to draw Ad Nauseam to kill you.
Okay.
A year ago, 2 years ago, anytime I played that matchup, even if on paper it looked really bad, I was pretty confident that over the course of a 3-game match, one game would just be they don't find an Ad Nauseam in a reasonable time frame and lose.
Yeah. So for me, I think that deck just got killed with Force. Force and Negation just wrecks that deck. And that's at least how I beat him all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've never been an Ad Nauseam player.
The Thassa's Oracle kill also makes, Force and Negation a little awkward. Sometimes you just have to counter their
spoils.
Their spoils, yeah.
Yep.
So it gives you more cards that you have to counter, makes them more threat dense, gives them different lines to kill. I think that deck got a lot better.
Okay. That's fair. And that's a deck I still lose to randomly. There's so many weird combo decks in Modern that you just don't really build your deck for, but luckily some of the stuff spills over a bit. But yeah, a really tricky deck to play against, and that's the thing is if that's your style of deck, Modern has a place for just about every style of play, as far as decks that you can play.
Phyrexian Unlife just buys you so much time against the creature decks.
Yeah, it does.
So having that built-in, almost hate card being one of your combo pieces is one of the things I like about that deck. I just really hated how inconsistent it was because it relied on finding Ad Nauseam, and that has since changed.
Yeah. I like it. But yeah, that combo deck definitely still viable, still a strong deck. You got one more, Rob? We'll take it from you.
It's the best Lyris deck I've seen, the Devoted deck.
You think so?
Yeah, you just have to kill Devoted Druid on site.
Makes sense.
Shafta 2004 was asking about the 28 land count in Reclamation. That seems kind of high. And I think Brian Gottlieb also put out on Twitter the other day a discussion about the increasing land count we're seeing in a lot of decks, and Uro decks in particular. Do you think that's just a change that's kind of come over Magic in that we need to be playing more lands now in general, or
not necessarily, but here's the thing is when you're playing Field of the Dead, Growth Spiral, and Uro, you kind of get punished if you don't have a land drop to make off your early Growth Spirals and Uros, and you get really rewarded if you just have that draw that curves into, activating Field of the Dead on turn 4 already. And this deck has cards like Fact or Fiction, Nexus of Fate, Mystic Sanctuary to rebuy your Fact or Fiction. So all your goal is to just get to a high mana count early, and then you're rebuying spells that find you spells. So this deck is that's this deck's MO. Other decks that have that high of land count may be different, but this specific deck, that's just what you want to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. The more that you play with the card advantage and individually powerful cards that can take over a game by themselves, and Uro, is both of those things actually.
Yeah.
The higher land count you generally want to be playing. because you don't need as many total spells to actually win the game because you have individual spells that can take over.
Yeah, or individual lands.
Yeah. So then your concern is less mana flood because your cards could win through flood. Your concern is much more mana screw because then you don't get to deploy those powerful cards.
Yeah.
Or potentially not deploy them within a reasonable time frame.
Yeah.
So at that point, if you're trying to mitigate the variance of your own deck, your best course of action is to increase your land count.
Yeah.
And make sure that you just don't get screwed as often as possible and deal with maybe a game where you just don't find an arrow and you flood a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that was more to the point that Gottlieb made on that Twitter post, which I completely agree with. And I think we've seen a bunch of high land count decks over the last year or two in Standard, in part to Corey's point, Growth Spiral and Uro being these cards that you need, and Arboreal Grazer too, you need high land counts to utilize. But people are utilizing those cards in part because they want to get to these really powerful 4, 5, 6 mana cards and start utilizing them. And those cards also push you to play a high land count.
And oh, sorry, finish your point.
It has a lot to do with the cards that have been printed in the last year or two, and less to do like it doesn't really fundamentally reshape our understanding of Magic. We already did that. People used to not play enough lands in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
That happened in the mid 2000s, but now it's more due to the cards that have been printed.
And one thing, you have to look at all the lands, like just load up Cardboard Live, look at my deck list right now, and you look at like Field of the Dead, Field of Ruin, Blast Zone, Castle Vantress. These are all lands that you kind of have to consider spells in some regard because they don't really help out your land count in the early game too often. If you have blue, green, field, or whatever, that's fine. You can still probably cast your spells, but you got to look at some of these draws, like Field of the Dead is kind of a spell. So you can lower the land count essentially in your head a little bit, just because they're not that valuable in the early game. Yeah.
You're concerned when you're increasing your land count that you're going to get mana flooded. But mana flood means that you don't have things to do with your mana. That's the problem. But if your lands give you things to do with your mana, then you're not really flooded. You're still doing stuff.
Exactly. You're just doing cool stuff.
Yeah. I wrote an entire article probably 4 or 5 years ago at this point about how valuable utility lands are in Magic.
Oh, yeah.
It was called
They really
Embrace
are.
the Flood.
Embrace the Flood?
Maybe it was before the site change, so I don't know exactly what happened with old articles, but it's one of my favorite articles I've ever read.
I lived through the flood in North Dakota in 2008, too. We did not embrace the flood.
We rejected it.
We rejected it. We didn't like it. So.
Also, real quick, Ross, one question for you.
Yeah.
Asteus wants to know, do you think Neobrand is still the best deck for a salty stream?
Yes. That was awesome.
You had a salty one?
Yeah. I played a league with 4-color Death Shadow, which is the deck I had been playing.
Okay.
It went very poorly. I went 2-3.
Okay.
Salting off, and someone in my chat was like, why don't you just play Neobrand at this next one? And I was like, yeah, I'm in. 5-0'd. I played against, for the 5-0, I played against another Shadow deck, and I thought I was like, yeah, I'm going to lose to like my own deck playing for this 5-0.
Yeah.
They had quad discard spell in game 1. I won with Allosaurus Rider beatdowns.
Oh, my God.
Then I won with Allosaurus Rider beatdowns the next game, too.
That is great. One deck that I just hate losing to. It doesn't happen often, but whenever you just don't get to literally click a button on your turn, it's just like, you know what? I'm logging off Moto today.
I think I took 5 turns in my first 2 matches.
Yeah, it really is the most high variance deck where, like, it doesn't matter what you're playing against. You could easily just defeat yourself, but...
I was really surprised. Like, 3 or 4 of my opponents just conceded once the Gristlebrand entered the battlefield.
Yeah.
And not in matchups where the 8/8 flying lifelinker is going to kill them.
Yeah, it doesn't always win.
Yeah, it doesn't always win. Like the one prowess opponent who I put it in against didn't concede, and I just didn't draw cards. So
yeah.
Said, okay, you don't have a Soulscar Mage? 8/8 flying lifelink.
One last story, we'll get into this, but I was playing against Neoform with this deck, and I just went Scalding Turn Go, and he's just going off, taking a 8-minute turn or whatever. Finally, like Gristlebrand's down to 7 or down to 3 with the draw trigger. And I'm just like, all right, bolt you. Game.
Play carefully.
Yeah, love it. Okay, how's your hand?
It is perfectly fine.
Yeah, mine needs a little bit of help. Pretty obvious what we need, but it's still a keeper.
Okay, I will start on a Mystic Sanctuary.
Okay. All right, I'm going to start on a Misty Rainforest. Here you go.
Plains Stoneforge Mystic.
Okay.
And I am going to get the Batterskull.
Batterskull has been got, huh?
That's turn.
All right, I'm going to have to bolt that. I'm going to take 3. I wanted to get a Ketri Triome, but it's more important to make sure this is dead. Now, do I want Stomping Ground or do I want Steam Vents? And I think it's Stomping Ground. So I'll take a total of 3.
You're at 17.
All right. Bang. Life total is not super relevant from either side right away. All right. So I'm going to go to 17, and you were just at 20. I think I want to do this now before you have Spell Snare up. I'm just going to grow a Spiral now. You can force that if you want.
Good.
All right. And then I will play a land and pass to you.
Misty Rainforest, pass.
I will crack this.
Now you're at 16.
16.
20% of the way there.
All right. All right. I'll get my favorite land, Field of the Dead. Just kidding.
It's Field of the Island. It makes islands once you play 7 unique lands.
Exactly. I'm glad you're on the same wavelength. All right, we're going to get Triumph. And it might have been a little bit of a mistake to get Stomping Ground. It did fit very well to my hand, but you always got to be pretty conscious with your 3 island thing for Sanctuaries. That's usually turn 5, turn 6 that you ever even think about bringing stuff back anyway, so it's usually pretty fine and will be fine this game, but, something you definitely want to keep track of.
Could just play your Mystic Sanctuary on turn 1 and,
Yeah,
okay.
That's where you get the real utility. That's for sure. Smart man. Okay, I'm going to go with a land and an Uro. I'm just doing that whole ramp plan that I was talking about before.
I do not have a counter for this when it comes back, so I think I'm just going to path this with the trigger on the stack.
Oh, interesting. You're really helping out that ramp plan, huh? But yeah, that is a good thing to do. If you don't want me to double draw.
Yeah.
Okay.
It leaves you with cards in your graveyard for later Uros exiled.
Oh yeah. That would be horrible play if that just destroyed it. Okay, so path resolves before the trigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get a land.
So I'll get a land. I'm going to get an island here. I'm going to get a snow-covered island, actually. Make sure you can still diversify through your basics even, which is a pretty cute interaction there. All right, so then I'm guessing the trigger resolves, no stifle?
Nope, you got a 19.
Got him. All right.
And Trick Bind.
Everybody's favorite land. Your go. 3, 4, 5, 6. So next land triggers.
Okay, well, we better stop that with this Field of Ruin.
Hey, you jerk. You jerk. Okay. So we do have the 3 islands now. So yep, definitely the correct play, or the correct land to get is just Field of the Dead to replace that. All right, that's the last time I make that joke. Maybe.
God, I hope it is. I know it's not.
Yeah, everyone knows it's not. I think I honestly just still want to get a blue land here. I know it makes us further away from Field of the Dead, but now we don't have one, so...
4 lands are colorless.
Yes, whatever. All right. So I'll get another island.
I'll pass the turn.
Okay. Untap. I will play a land. And I'll pass to you.
So to stay ahead of question here, they're curious about the lack of mystical dispute in either sideboard. Is Veil just kind of the better go-to in Modern right now?
Veil's the better dispute from my side. From your side, I could see it, but it's also, I don't know. I don't know why you're not playing. I think it is a pretty good one to play, but I do think Veil is better. So yeah,
I think the idea is that this deck's supposed to be pretty good in blue mirrors to begin with.
Yeah.
Because it has a little bit of pressure, which is really helpful, and plays a lot at instant speed.
Okay.
So the sideboard is really focused more on aggro decks and big mana decks and Titan decks.
Okay.
You see a bunch of Gus, see a bunch of Ceremonies rejections, these purges, and then creature removal. So there's just not room.
Okay, makes sense to me.
That would be my
Would be your
my
guess?
thought process
Okay.
on that. I've just got a flooded terrain and a pass to the turn.
All right, I'm going to do something that's not too exciting, but I'm going to play a Snapcaster.
I am going to spell snare that.
A Spell Snare. Yeah, can just try to eat up some counter spells here. Sure, I'll Veil.
You have 2 in hand?
2, yep.
Let's crack these.
Okay, you're going to just 18, right? Maybe lower.
I'm going to get a Hallowed Fountain with one of them.
Okay, put you to 16.
And I will Archmage's Charm the Veil.
Okay. Yep, this all happens.
Pass the turn.
All right. I'll untap. Draw. Play my own Field of Ruin. And I think I'm just going to pass to you.
Pass back.
Pretty Drago game here. I know you have 4 spells. I'm questioning, do I want a Sanctuary back like a Veil to set up something here? Kind of don't mind that. All right, I'm going to crack this.
18.
You're almost always just going to get value from this Veil eventually, even though you know about it. But yeah, I'll target Veil.
Sure.
Okay, draw for my turn. And pass to you.
Instep, Snapcaster.
Snappy Caster. Okay.
Target Archmage's Charm.
Okay.
I'd like to draw 2 cards.
I'll respond with a Nexus.
Sure. You have 2 in hand, one of which is Veil.
Yep. Yeah, then that resolves.
Take a turn.
And I could Veil here too, just to draw that extra card. Is it worth it? I mean, if I draw like Fact or Fiction, it's cool, but then if you force it, then it's worse. I think I'm just going to untap. Oh, ask and you shall receive. I want to leave Uro mana open. So I think that's good. Fact or Fiction?
Resolves. I like
Bad
that.
start. A little bit better.
See, with Mystic Sanctuary or Fetch, you do get to rebuy the Fact or Fiction.
With Fact or Fiction, you get to rebuy Fact or Fiction as well.
Normally, my instinct would just be 4/1.
Okay.
The FOF is worth so much more. This is giving you, a bunch of total card advantage, and then just setting you up for awesome draws later on.
Yep.
Right? So I'm thinking that I probably just want to do this then. Yeah.
Okay. So I could Mystic Sanctuary, put Fact or Fiction on top, Growth Spiral, Fact or Fiction. That's a play I could make. Or I could just take this, take 2 Esteem Vent, Fact or Fiction, have Veil backup just in case you have Force as well. I think essentially this is the same as that, except I get to leave 1 mana open and just do it again. So yeah, we're going to put these to the graveyard, put these to my hand. I'm going to take 2.
16.
I got myself at 17. I probably missed one. Probably missed a fetch. When in doubt, I trust you on that. Then we're just going to cast another one.
Yep.
Fact or Fiction was like my best draw. You got another one. God, I love this card.
So, not a great hit.
No, not great.
I think Cryptic Command is easily the best card, Mountain's easily the worst. And, this is just a value Fact or Fiction, so we'll put best and worst versus the 3 middles.
I think this one's an easy this one to my hand, because Castle Vantress, I think, is actually very, very valuable. So we're going to do that, and then I will pass to you.
So I know you have Castle, Growth Spiral, Remand, and Veil.
Yes. 1 mystery card to you.
Okay, get in for 2.
Beat down 14.
I wonder if this is the turn I'm just supposed to slam Batterskull and hope you don't have, you're going to have a draw step and a Growth Spiral to find more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
Uro would be pretty dang good.
Yeah. I think that's how I'm going to play this. So
Okay.
I'm going to play Tap Hallowed Fountain and try to get some pressure going.
Okay.
Where's my Alex
That
Bistecki?
makes sense.
You can go.
All right, so now I think I have to reveal the last card in my hand because it gives me an extra turn. So I'm going to bolt that. Hindsight, if I would have known you for sure going to do that, I probably would have bolted first, but
Yeah.
the information is worth it. All right, let's start with the Growth Spiral.
Sure.
Let's put this into play as land 1. And I'll play this for a land, and I will pass to you.
Okay. Excellent.
Excellent.
I will play a Strand and attack for 4.
Okay, 10 to 20.
That's what I have.
Okay.
Now we just play Draw Go.
Yeah, makes sense. You got your threat. Okay. I will scry.
Yep.
I think I actually do want this top card. I'm not dead yet, so I can still use some of my turns to do a little bit of setup. I don't have too much time to do that, but I think this is fine. All right, I'm going to play Wilderness Reclamation.
Once again, I'm very far behind on mana, so I don't think fighting over this makes a lot of sense. So it does let you scry a bunch. And maybe fighting over this and cutting you off of those scries is good. Because I also, Corey knows I have a bunch of spells in hand. So it's probably good for me to just trade off spells now and then trade off some more next turn because I can't cast them all in one turn. But you're just going to win this counter war.
Probably shouldn't announce that to your opponent. God, Modern's great. Just look, we've only played 2 games and they've just been excellent. Just absolutely excellent. Rob, do you think you can do me a huge favor here? Can you look at my board, what I have for fetchable land still? It's actually kind of important here.
Just Charm the Reclamation.
Okay. Well, I think it's pretty easy and obvious to start with Veil. Any basics left? I should have a mountain. Okay. Yep, that's enough. Thank you.
Your veil results.
Okay. Draw. And that resolves?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to play one more land. Trigger on the stack.
Yep. Gonna castle it up.
Yes. Castle Descry?
Yeah.
Bottom these. Untap. I didn't want to sack the Misties quite yet. And then, yeah, your go.
And Steph, I'm going to fetch, go to 19.
Okay.
I will get a Mystic Sanctuary and put Spell Snare on top. This will get Corey's Remand.
Okay, Mystic Sanctuary. Trigger resolves.
Okay, go to my turn.
Yep. Upkeep. I'm going to field your Hollowed Fountain.
And I'm going to make a 2/2 shark.
Okay.
Then this gets fielded. I have a 2/2 shark.
I know about a Spell Snare. So now I'm dead next turn, Xaxes.
That's the idea.
I don't like it.
And I will draw a turn.
Okay.
And attack for 4.
I will take it down to 6
6.
to
I go to 23.
24.
I
Yeah,
fetched
23.
the 19,
Yep.
yeah. 6 to 23.
Yep.
And I'll pass the turn.
All right, end step scry. All right, we got to find something good here. Our draws have not been great so far these last few turns. Take that one. Untap, draw. Earl.
That was the best possible one.
Yep. Sure was.
So that resolves trigger on the stack, Snapcaster.
Yeah, I hate that. Yep, the whole path and Spell Snare right now play is pretty good. I unfortunately don't have any other sanctuaries in the deck, or I could have played around it. But with how this sits, I think I just have to hope to draw something nice again. And I could scry and hope to... Maybe I have to, otherwise I just die, I guess. I go to 9. Luckily, this is 8. Yeah, Snapcaster resolves.
Target path.
Okay.
Path 0.
All right.
You can get a basic.
I don't think I have one.
Nice. Nice.
So we have 2 breeding pools to search. Okay, so I'm going to go to 9.
That is true. Draw a card.
Draw. Interesting. Okay, I'll play my land.
Which, oh,
So I can destroy Batterskull, which is pretty good. So 1, 2, 3. I have to fetch.
Yeah, you need one of the fetches to get an 8th non.
Which means I'd have to take 3 more damage and go to 6. Not dead then, but not really alive, you know? But Batterskull is the dangerous problem right here. I mean, if I could tick it down to 0, that's, would be ideal.
Yeah.
So still think ticking it up to 5 is better, because then if I can find another Uro, gaining 3 life almost just already shuts down your turn. So I think it's probably worth it. And I get to thin my deck, get closer to just Nexus looping you. So 3, 4. So I have to crack this.
And you have, even with after that fetch, you also have enough to sack Blast Zone and Castle.
Yep.
It's 5 to Castle, 4 to Blast Zone, and you'll have 9.
Exactly.
So you're going to get a breeding pool, go to 6.
Yep. And now even if I get Field of the Dead, I just don't have any lands left in my deck, so that's kind of a problem. I guess I can run in 6 at some point, but all right, go to end step. 2, 3, 4. So put 4 counters on this.
As you do.
As is normal. And then
I see you have the 3 minutes.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that too. So I got to do it now, otherwise you can return it. So
yeah, tap Castle.
Blow Blast Zone. And past you.
I will attack you for 4.
Okay, I'll go down to 1 or down to 2.
2 to 23.
Yep.
I'll pass the turn.
All right, we're gonna scry. Ugh, looks like it's gonna have to be an upkeep scry. The old desperation move. Ooh, that's a good point. Do I want to end step, missed it, thin my deck out? 1 is the same as 2, essentially.
Well,
yeah.
Is it if you find the Uro and you upkeep scry? Can you Uro twice? Yeah.
Yeah, if I sack it. So I think I have to. So get that breeding pool, put it into play tapped. I put the cards back in that I just didn't want to draw, but whatever. Okay. And now you got a decent amount of permission, I imagine. So this could just be out of reach. All right. Upkeep scry. Put this one on top.
Draw step, click.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely playing around Uro here.
Okay. But I already played it. I just put it into play.
Uro's a card I can't really beat.
Okay. Now I can remand the click, but then you just replay it or you just spell snare me. So I think I have no choice but to just let that resolve.
I will take the Uro.
Smart. Okay. Draw of that. Crap. Grow Spiral.
And I've seen your hand, so when I post a negation, that's the game.
Yep, that's the game. All right. Good
pretty
game.
Good hand once I got to untap.
Yeah, that was a close one.
That was a heck of a game.
That does not get. Oh, there's always time.
I'm playing 2 aggro decks after this, so we'll finish this match.
We'll keep this nice and fast and loose for game 3 here. We'll shuffle it up.
You got ahead on lands, but then you ended up flooding a bit, and I was able to handle the Uros.
Yep.
You never really gained traction in that game and started pulling way ahead.
And I definitely would have with the field. So your field there was super timely, and maybe I should have held on to it a little bit more. To be honest, I didn't know you were really playing fields.
Yeah,
I should assume in 2-color decks, but I could have played a fetch land that turn off the Growth Spiral instead, and then play field, and then crack fetch. That's 2 zombies, but even just those 2 zombies, I think would have been enough. So I think that was my big detriment that game that might have cost me.
At the very least, those 2 zombies would have bought you 1 to 2 more turns and 4 more scries.
At least. I mean, even just double blocking a Batterskull at one point, and then you having to bring it back, recast it again. That's like a few turns.
I can just move it over.
That's true. But
I needed a lot of my mana there. I was constantly countering your stuff.
Yep.
You had such a huge mana advantage. I wasn't able to play 3 spells in a turn, but I had to double spell every turn to keep up with you and maintain my advantage.
Yeah, that was a great game. Modern is just so good. There's case in point number 1. Our first 2 games are just crazy. We would have just timed out in an SCG though, but we would be 0-0-1.
I just want to say having time top 8s is great.
Time top 8s? Yeah, they just go faster. And Arena, I bet, makes it a lot faster.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'll be going first here. Get this nice third game nice and fast and loose.
Oh, my hand had more equipment than lands.
Oh, God. This hand is powerful. Maybe I'm supposed to keep this, but I can see this going horrific for me.
We're going to get a classic Corey loose keep.
Sure are. I'll keep. That's what we're all about. That's what we came here to do.
It's not what I came here to do. Okay. Better hand than that one.
Okay.
Maybe not have both equipment.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
This hand is quite good.
Okay.
And let's put one of those back, I guess.
Your go.
Pass.
Okay. We'll play a Sanctuary and pass to you. All powerful.
Oh, maybe my Stoneforge Mystic will live.
Oh, yeah, resolves.
This one is going to get Sword of Feast and Famine.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
Your go.
We might be doing it, chat. We might be doing it.
Beating Corey's loose keep? Yeah, it happens.
Happens quite a bit.
It happens, yeah.
Didn't know you sideboarded into Simic Reclamation.
Sure did.
Play Misty Rainforest and pass the turn.
Okay.
On your draw step,
Okay.
I'm actually going to click you in case you do red source and have a bolt. Normally, I don't like the draw step click, but there are certain spots where
Okay.
you're going to veil.
Veil.
Yeah.
Draw.
So that so you veil with the trigger on the stack.
Yeah.
Be targeting you. Yep.
Exactly.
So you counter the trigger. You get to cycle the veil. Probably hit the red source. Punish me.
Nope. I'll pass to you.
I don't think you have interaction for this, so I'm just going to jam. Activate.
Sure.
Equip.
Sure.
Attack for 5.
Yeah, or hit resolves.
You go to 15. I'll untap my lands.
Yeah. I chucked this one by not drawing a red source. What do I want to discard? I think we actually have to discard one of these.
Pass the turn.
All right. Oops. Okay. Play that.
We hit a red source.
We did it. And I'll pass to you.
Next step, I'm going to cycle to make a 2/2 shark.
2/2 shark, eh? Sure.
I would then like to go to my turn.
Sure.
I would like to move this sword over to the shark. So you can't bolt my sworded creature.
Okay. Sure.
I would like to declare an attack.
Sure.
Send those two for 7.
I'm going to go with bounce draw card on the shark.
Response, I'll crack this fetch.
Okay.
Go to 19.
Sure.
I'm going to go to 17 and get a Hallowed Fountain.
Okay.
And I'm going to play an Opt.
Optaru. That resolves. Good old Optaru.
I I will keep this.
Okay.
But your cryptic command will resolve.
Draw a magical card.
Taking 3 or bolt in the click?
I'm at 15?
You at 15.
15. Okay. That's close. Yeah, I'll take it.
Go to 12.
Yep.
Pass the turn.
Crack this.
You go to 11.
All right, we'll get our Triumph. Got our red source online. Actually, no, I can't do Sanctuary. I don't have any red. Silly Corey.
Please get Mystic Sanctuary.
I will go with a forest. And how many cards you got?
4.
4. And they're all good?
They're great.
Oh, crap.
They're Tony the Tiger.
All right, I'm going to go with a Wilderness Reclamation.
Okay, maybe they're not that great. That resolves.
Okay. End step trigger.
Yep.
Float 2. Untap. Fact or fiction?
Sure.
All right. Bang.
So I want to put the card that Corey wants to put in his hand with the Uro to delay the Uro a bit, or at least like force you to tap. Let's see if that's actually true in this scenario. So I certainly want to not put Ren and 6 and Force in the same pile.
That's true.
And so you also kind of want to put Ren with lands, because if you take the Ren and put them in the graveyard, you just get them back.
I love not having to think about it. Just wait till they're presented, and
Yeah.
then I know what I want to take. All right, I'm surprised I'm in this game, but at least we have a chance now.
So next turn, Corey can go Uro, play 2 lands, Uro again, play land, play Ren, potentially. So I'm not even sure if that's good. So maybe I want to go like this. You have
Yeah,
how
it's
many
interesting.
Cards? You have how many cards?
I have 3.
The Ren and the Force are the really interesting cards. And exactly. So I'm pretty sure I've got to split them.
Yeah.
And do I want to give you the Uro with the Ren or the Uro with the Force? The Ren is not actually super threatening, though it is good with the Blast Zone. And normally that would be really slow, but with the Reclamation,
Yeah, it gets
not so
turbocharged, yeah.
You're at 11. Yeah,
I'm at 11.
that's what I have.
That's what you got?
You went from 15 to 12 last turn on this attack, and then you fetched.
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah. I actually think the Force
11 to 19, right?
Yeah, it's the kind of scary card here. So I'm going to go like that.
Okay. That's pretty good piles. I think that's as close as so I can consider it. Now it's just, what do I want? Yeah, Ren is not anything crazy, but it's definitely not bad. Gets back some lands. Force is pretty good as well, but it's not insane. Wow, this is close. Yeah, I think I'll put these into my hand.
Okay.
That was good pile making. That was as close as it could get. And then, yeah, pass to you. Whoops.
On your instep, I'll activate Stoneforge.
Okay.
Put in batters.
Oh, okay.
Thought that might be a little telegraph, but I didn't attack with it, but
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I thought so. Play Mystic Sanctuary. Get back the Opt.
Okay.
Going to put the sword. I think I have to put it on the germ so you don't just get to bolt in response. I know you have land
just
force, yeah. So you have to have like bolt. Things. If I go on Batterskull and you have Cryptic Command blue card, it's a lot worse for me. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the Stoneforge Mystic, or attempt to.
I'm gonna attempt to bolt.
Sure. Now I will put it on the germ.
Okay.
I will attack you for 9.
Okay.
You go to 2.
Yep.
I gain 6 to
25?
23. I shot.
Sure.
Something.
Yep.
Trigger. Discarded an Oboro, so I know you have Force Blast Zone X.
Yep.
Do I want to field you at all? So I can essentially do that for free, like make you get a mountain, which is awkward, right? When you're trying to Uro and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm going to float 2, untap.
Okay.
And although this does get you a 4th mana, if that's at all relevant, but you have Force Blast Zone X. Yeah, it's not going to be that relevant to field, actually. I'm just going to pass.
All right. Untap. All right. I will blast or play a blast zone. Actually.
I think my problem with the pile is I should have split the lands differently. I think giving you Force Blast Zone was bad. I think I should have given you Ren, Uro, Blast Zone versus
Maybe.
Force other land.
I'll play Uro.
Drew the mountain. So you just played a non-Blast Zone land?
Yep.
So I know you have Blast Zone, Force, X. You're at 2.
Not a high life total.
No.
Yeah, I think if I get the mountain early and I was able to lightning bolt your Stoneforge on 2, this would be a much different game, but kept a hand without red.
I am going to Archmage's Charm the Uro.
I will force it.
I will mana leak the Force.
And I'm dead. Yep, GG. I just had another force, so... Yeah, the Batterskull is the nail. I think I could have maneuvered around it at some point, but... yeah, I just completely spaced that you could just activate it, you know, and like just naturally draw it. But I guess you searched Batterskull earlier, didn't you?
No, I searched for the sword that game.
Oh, you did?
I drew Batterskull that turn that I put it up.
Oh, okay. So it was hidden information.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll talk about the next match, or we'll talk about this match in the next match. We are quite far behind because that was a nice match.
That was.
But we are going to take a short 5-minute break, and we'll be right back with round number 2 here on Modern Week.